Today, I'd like to continue our exploration of the Christian and the Buddhist perspective in terms of looking at sadness, looking at hatred, looking at anger, looking at different emotions that we experience from both a Christian perspective and from a Buddhist perspective as well. Uh, Constant hatred can harm our immune system. What can happen is the hatred can really break down that immune system. It's like the body is warring against itself. So even on a natural level, that is not a good thing. A healthy mind is a mind that is calm, that can relax, that can find peace. And again, from a Buddhist perspective, meditation, centering is a wonderful way to calm the mind and to dismiss the hatred and to have a more positive approach towards life. Another factor that can lead to hatred can be tiredness. We've all had that experience where it's one of those days, and we've been working hard and bopping from one thing to another, and then all of a sudden somebody says something, and we explode, and it's like, oh, why did I do that? Well, I was tired. So again, part of it is understanding ourselves, and when that happens, giving ourselves a break and realizing, okay, I'm a human being and I get tired, and when I get tired, I may be more prone to anger and hatred and negativity, and that's understandable. Just to admit that uh, to ourselves and to other people. Say, gee, I'm sorry I said that. I was really tired. Please forgive me. Now, sadness, another emotion to kind of explore from both the Christian and the Buddhist perspective. And sadness, in a way, seems the opposite of joy. When we think of joy, we think of, hey, things are going well, we're bouncing off the walls with happiness, and everything is great, and I'm experiencing this elation. And we think of sadness as the opposite of that, when there doesn't seem to be any joy. Joy is absent. But when we think of sadness, one of the things we have to remember is that sadness can lead us to empathy. There is a positive aspect to sadness. If we're sad about somebody's situation, uh, it can make us more understanding of what that person is going through, and we can reach out to them. We can realize that we too have experienced difficult moments in our life. And so our sadness, our experience of sadness, can balance out our lives. Certainly, if it was joy all the time, we'd be hard to take. So the idea of the sadness can actually be an emotion that can be a helpful emotion to a certain extent. Desmond Tutu, the great Anglican priest and religious leader, uh, recounts his own experience. And during the time in South Africa, when they established the Truth and Reconciliation hearings, where they would get people together, those who had suffered discrimination and had suffered horrible things, and those who were the abusers, and those who did those terrible things, and get them together in the same room to talk and speak and bring about some harmony, some resolution. Tutu would recount that many times during those experiences, when people were sharing what they went through, those difficult times when they were beat, when all sorts of discrimination happened to them, when they faced deprivation, and when they faced, in some cases, even torture at the hand of the ruling party, which was white. Uh, they experienced these terrible things. They would recount them honestly and openly. And those who did those horrible things would hear that and ask for forgiveness, and they would try to establish a reconciliation. A reconciliation based, of course, on the truth. Tutu recounted many times during those hearings, he would literally be moved to tears because of the sharing. So again, a time really of intense sadness, but also a time that made him more aware of the sufferings that people had gone through and more sensitive to those sufferings, and made those who were hearing that and listening to that more aware of those sufferings too, and the importance of reconciliation, the importance of harmony and peace based on truth, based on an honest recounting of what had happened. It's interesting that sadness can last longer than fear. Psychologists have studied this. 120 hours to 30 minutes. So we think of fear as this, devastating emotion, and of course it can really cripple us as well. When we think of duration, sadness lasts a lot longer than fear. Joseph Forgas, a psychology researcher, talks about mild sadness really has its benefits. It leads to better judgment and memory. So because of that sadness, we can judge things in a better perspective. It helps us to evaluate our experiences because we've experienced that sense of sadness. And also, it's something that is helpful in terms of memory. That when we get in other situations that are similar, I was sad, but I survived this sadness and I made it through the sadness. In some ways, it's made me a better, more well-rounded person, more well-rounded human being. The sad participants in the study group gave significantly more to the other participants, which when you hear that, you're like, well, how is that possible? They were sadder, but yet they were able to give more to others. And I think part of it is what we've been speaking about in terms of the sensitivity and the empathy of the person who's experienced sadness, hard times, difficult situations. That they tend to be more generous, more giving, because they've been through those difficult times and they can relate to you as you experience those difficult times. They were, in many ways, a lot more generous, those who were sad, than the control group. So again, it's that sense of generosity, the enlargement of the heart, the ability to reach out more to others and to help others. So we can see that there are some positive aspects to sadness as well.